So here is my most recent portrait painting that I've done, just so you can see where I'm up to before I started. This was before I did the 100 portraits. And so you can see here that even though some people might say that this is okay or it's pretty good so far, I'm not happy with it. I'm not happy with the level of that I'm up to in my portraits. And I'll show you, this is the original photo. And you can see they're quite different, right? And even though my goal isn't to 100% copy photos or copy exactly what I've seen there for various reasons I'll explain in a minute, there are still a lot of weaknesses with this, right? There's still quite flat looking under here in the jaw area where this line is. Something wrong with the facial line at the back here, and this eye, I had a lot of trouble with that eye. I had to do that over and over again to try and get that right. And the nose and the mouth, they kind of look like they're slightly at different angles. So there's a lot of things I want to improve with this, and I want to get better. Now, the approach I had been learning up until this point is called the visual. There are two main approaches to basically drawing, like drawing or the structure underneath your painting, right? So the rendering on top, which is your shading and your colors and everything, but then the actual structure that it sits on, the drawing, the scaffolding, you've got two main ways of doing it. And the first way is a visual method, which is taught at a lot of ateliers. The classical or traditional method quite often will use, not all the times, but quite often we'll use this visual method where it's based on shapes. So you've got a light shape and a dark shape, and then you add more colors inside the dark shape and inside the light shape to get more definition, and you can end up with very realistic results. Not that this picture is realistic, but in general you can end up with very realistic 3D looking results even though you started with 2D shapes. But the problem with this method is that it's for copying, it's for portraits, it's for commission work, right? So back in the day, my assumption is it was used for commission work. Very easy, very quick to teach, but it relies on measuring, absolute perfect measuring to make it look good, and it requires an exact reference. Now, I have no problem using references, but I don't want to be stuck with one reference, because in that case you can run into copyright issues. And then so to avoid that, you've then got to get yourself a camera, and then you've got to become a photographer, and you've got to learn to use Photoshop if you want to do imaginary stuff. So all of your artwork is now in being a photographer and setting up the scene and using Photoshop. So you're becoming more of a photographer and a Photoshop artist than you are a painter or a drawer, because now all of the drawing and painting part, a lot of the design and creativity isn't there anymore, because you're once you've got the photo you're working from, it's almost like it's dead now and you're just copying from that point. So the artistic part stops at the drawing and painting, for me anyway. And yes, there's some stuff you can do in shape design and things like that, but you're still pretty much stuck to your reference photo. Then there's another method. So that's the visual method, nothing wrong with it, really cool. But if you can't just use any image online, you're going to end up with copyright issues unless you become your own designer, like photographer, and your own photo editor. Then so that's the visual method. Second method is the constructive method. So previously we just discussed visual method. This is the constructive method. So there are two main methods when it comes to drawing or art making. Now, this second constructive method is not based on 2D shapes like the last one. This is based on 3D construction. You're constructing everything as if it's based on 3D volumes. Boxes, trapezoids, well, things that are in, well, trapezoids are in 3D, right? So 3D based shapes. You can see all of this is constructed and built from the ground up. And now, and you can see this is based on, this is the Asaro head, which shows you all the different planes. Because now you've got a 3D plane, it makes shading a lot easier to understand. It allows you to understand the head a lot better. This method is now going to allow you to take multiple references. So you can use any reference you want that you find, as long as you're using multiple ones and you're constructing the drawing with your own drawing, like you're just constructing the picture. What happens is it's not going to look exactly like the picture, because you're going to be able to change it and move it. You can make the nose a little higher or lower, a little longer or shorter. You can make it a little wider, taller. Because you're building it, you understand it, you've constructed it, you can now deconstruct it and reconstruct it and move it and change it. So now drawing now becomes part of the design, right? And now you understand the tones, you understand the values for when it comes to painting. So that's why I want to try and start training myself on this method to be able to now use multiple references. I don't have any copyright issues now. I can use one reference for lighting, one reference for the pose, one reference for different facial features, and because I'm building off multiple references, there's no issues with copyright or anything. I don't now have to set up a whole scene and do the photography and go and do the photo editing. I can still do that if I want to. But even if I do all that and make my own photo, when it comes to drawing, now when I construct it, I now have another layer of creativity. It's not dead now just because I got a photo. I can still change things after I get my photo, even if I made the photo or someone else made it. You see what I'm saying? And so now I've got an extra layer of creativity. And then when it comes to rendering and painting on top, I understand the planes. I can now have another design layer on top of that with the painting. So that's more freeing. That gives me more control. And so that's why I wanted to start training myself in this. And to my mind, I had concluded that the problems with some of the flatness here and the features not quite pointing in the right direction, the nose points in a slightly different direction to the mouth, in my opinion. It's more rotated towards the viewer, whereas the mouth is more rotated away. And the eyes are at a slightly wrong angle to the nose and the mouth. And I believe that's because at this point, I didn't understand the construction of the face. I was just copying a photo, but I didn't understand the structure of the cheekbone and the eye area and the nose. I didn't understand them in 3D space. And so that's why I feel, and there's another reason why I feel I had so much trouble with that eye, is because I didn't understand where the bones were and how to construct that and et cetera, et cetera. So moving forward to the 100 portrait challenge, I thought I'm gonna do this 3D method. I'd been trained on this 2D stuff, and I really don't like measuring, and I really don't like getting things perfect. It kind of frustrates me a little bit. And I don't want to just be copying. So I now wanted to start training myself on this 3D stuff. So here's where I started. This is my first attempt. Okay, I bought a load of courses online. I study many courses I can get my hands on. And things from Proco to Skillshare to Bradwin Jones and all kinds of different people. As long as they had a 3D approach, I wanted to study them, right? So I've got their courses, and basically I'm going through all their courses while I'm doing these. So this is drawing number 1, okay? And you might say, oh, that's okay, that's pretty good, or whatever. You'll see as I flip through, it's not as good as it seems. You'll see there's quite a lot of weaknesses I have that I'm still that I'm figuring out through these 100 portraits. So here, this is the reference, here's my picture. You can see the mouth is too large, things are in the wrong area. So I'm just starting out. So I'm gonna start flipping through these. Here's the next one, here's the next one. Okay. Now you see this one's a little weaker. This one's pretty bad, you see? So my improvement doesn't just get better, it fluctuates. It gets better, then it gets a bit worse, then it gets a bit better. Things sometimes get worse because it's sometimes on a certain day, you don't feel, you're a bit tired that day, and so it goes a bit downhill. Like this one, see, it just gets a little worse here. And that's normal. That's normal for it to get better and get worse and go up and down and all over the place. Overall though, I think you'll find that overall it gets better when we compare the first one to the last one. Okay, so I mean, it's getting a little stronger now than when we first started, but then you get some stinkers, right? You get some ones that it gets a little worse again, and then a little better, and a little worse, right? The overall trend though does get better. So we're up to 18. I'll try and speed it up, right? So you just have a look. 19, 20. Okay. And then it gets a little worse, see? And what I was doing is, as I do it, I don't just, like, you don't just randomly just draw all these pictures and think you're going to get better, right? So, like, if I just scribbled here next to each picture, I wouldn't get better, would I? If I just scribbled next to it. So it's not about practicing with your hand, it's about practicing with your eye and your mind. So I would look at this and go, what's weak? The eye area, right? Or the chin's too wide or something, right? And so then I'd focus on that. I'll go to the courses, I'd look at chins. I do everything to do with the chin area or everything to do with the nose area for all the courses that I bought. I'll look at them all, right? And then I'll come back and I'll attempt to redo it. So this is a different construction that I'm trying here, maybe trying more of the Riley rhythms there. You know, I've got a mixture of Riley rhythms, Isara head. This is where I started the Isara head, because I've probably seen from the last one that, hey, I don't understand the planes well enough. So I started focusing on the Isara head here. You see, for the next couple, I'm doing Isara heads, like this. And out of everything, the Isara head, surprisingly, was probably the thing that had the, I mean, everything has an impact, but this one probably had the largest impact. In terms of jump in quality, was doing the Isara heads. Okay, well, it's getting hard to control. I'm just going to skip a few. Okay, you can start to see things getting better than worse, then better than worse. It's slightly better on this one. Still doing the Isara heads. Okay. A little bit worse. Right, I'm not going to do every page. I am skipping some pages. Okay. And all I do is I just put a YouTube video on, something that I don't have to watch, I can just listen to. Just have it in the background. You know, someone playing a video game or something, or doing an interview, and just listen to it. And then while I draw away. And so I was doing about 5 or 6 a day. It took me about 20 days. But 100 portraits doesn't have to take that long. If you do 10 a day, that's 10 days, right? It's not that big of a commitment. Once you get started and you get used to it, what happens is it becomes more and more fun. See, here I'm practicing with some of the tones. Because of the Isaro planes, I was able to just kind of guess where some of the tones would go. And it's not perfect, but most of these drawings are only about 15-20 minutes. Some maybe 30 minutes long. So maybe 30 minutes. I wasn't trying to like really render ridiculously well. See, this got worse. See, that's a little worse. You just go through slumps. That's just normal. And sometimes for a couple of days they'll be bad, and it doesn't matter. You just keep going. But overall, the trend will be getting better and better. Okay. See here, that one looks terrible. It's way too wide. And that one's not bad. And then it's worse again. Okay. All right, so we're at 80 now. This is picture 80. And I think, wow, it's not a lot of progress for 80, but progress does jump a little bit in a moment. 84, let's skip to 86. It's getting a little heavy. I might detach this stuff. Just pop this up. Okay. All right, 87. Here we go, it's getting a little better at 88. 89, a little worse. 90. But overall, this is starting to look a little better now. We're at 90 now. That one, not so great. Eyes too close together. That one's not bad, and I can see a little bit of style coming through. I don't know, little things like these light shapes here that I did. 93, 94, you can't really see, that's pretty faint. It's not a bad one, but it's very faint. I don't know if it'll show up on camera. Okay, 95, 96. A little stronger. Okay, 97, 98. That's getting a little stronger now. Okay. Okay, this is 100. Okay, so that's number 100. Okay, compare that to number 1. And this is like, this one's probably only a 20-minute drawing, maybe 15 or 20 minutes. I'm not spending a long time on these drawings compared to this one. This one probably, maybe I was 45 minutes, nearly an hour on this one when I first started. And this is only about 15, 20 minutes. So not only is it looks better, it's gotten a bit faster too. I'll try and get some of the others here, like you see this one here. This is number 11. This is number 11. Yeah, it's terrible. Versus number 100. Okay, so there's a definite improvement. It's definitely getting stronger. And so I looked at this. This is number 100. I thought, okay, this is working. For me, anyway. I thought, I'm getting better. This is working. So I want to keep doing it. Still not where I want to be yet. I still think the eyes need a little more, like the eyelids. They seem to be a bit like they're just scratchy, or there's too many lines in them. And around the mouth, like I had to correct too much. I want to try and get it without so much correction. So I continued. Here's 101. I've decided I'm going to go to 150. I think I've only done up to 108 so far for this video. So they see here, these are a lot stronger than my previous ones. And it happens suddenly. It's right at about the 100 mark. See, this is definitely a lot better than, say, let's have a look at, I don't know, this one, yeah, number 19. Check number 19 out. Ooh, you know, there's the model. There's my drawing. And then there's this one. There's the model, the drawing. And see, number 19 probably took the same amount of time to draw as number 103. Right? I wasn't taking a long time to draw these. They're getting a lot quicker. And the better I get at them and the quicker I'm drawing them, the more fun they are. And I started having a lot more fun doing them. At first, painting a whole portrait was like, oh my God, I have to draw a whole face. Whereas now it's kind of like a fun little thing I sit down and do. It's kind of fun. It's like doing a little puzzle or something. It actually gets really enjoyable. Whereas drawing a face isn't such a big deal anymore. You know what I mean? It's just a face, you know? What's this one? So it's 107. Yeah, so that's 107 is the last one I've done so far. I'm up to 108. I'm probably going to go to about 150 and then check in again and see where I'm at and see if I want to keep doing this. I'm going to keep doing this until I'm happy, and then I'm going to move back into paint. And I'm going to do like these, like those Asaro heads. I'm going to do those but with paint after this as an exercise. But yeah, that's just my progress so far. So you tell me, what do you think? Do you think it was worth it to do? If you're going from, say, something like this, you know, at number 20, was that 20? Yeah, number 20. And then this at 107. You know, what do you think? So there you go. That's the kind of progress you can expect to get from doing 100 portraits, or 107 portraits. And hopefully that was interesting and informative, and I will check back in with my progress at the 150 mark. So thanks so much for watching. See ya.